Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar and a very good morning to all of you. It's a great pleasure to join you all this morning. This forum is discussing a fragmented world as a problem and reinventing cooperation as a solution. I agree with both the diagnosis and the treatment. Having said that, let us recognize two facts. One, that fragmentation is here to stay. And two, that perhaps it is not altogether bad, in some ways even good. After all, it means less dominance, more space, and greater democratization. Flowing from that, we should ask ourselves three questions about its downside. Is it against efficiency? Is it against stability? Is it against security? To the extent that it may be, those issues can only be addressed through deeper cooperation. Friends, when we look at it objectively, the world was always part globalized and part fragmented. The real change has been the factors that drive fragmentation, the intensity of their implications, and the manner in which the world is coming to terms with it. In the past, the forces that united us and divided us were relatively more straightforward. As a result, the lines that were drawn were clear-cut and neat. Some were conscious strategic choices. Others were assumptions and norms. Now that is no longer the case. The nature of fragmentation is itself very much more complex now, and that will surely shape our search for solutions. So let us analyze the centripetal and centrifugal forces that are at play in the world currently. What characterizes our current existence, above all, is the degree of economic integration and interdependence. The world is increasingly about supply chains, their efficiency, and their resilience. This is not just about goods, it is equally about resources. Key to its working is the viability of logistics. Making connectivity a smooth experience has therefore emerged as a priority. No place is too far away for business anymore. Technology has been equally indispensable in this process. As it gets more massively deployed beyond national boundaries, its integrating impact is clearly visible. This, of course, has its own downside, but that is the subject for another conversation. The advent of AI, artificial intelligence, will only accelerate these trends, since the capture of data and the deployment of models is inherently transnational. An accompanying facet to this, of course, is the mobility of talents and skills that has gained further salience as travel itself has become much easier. Now, paradoxically, the challenges we confront have only further strengthened the centripetal side. Whether it is pandemics like COVID-19, acts of terrorism, or the impact of extreme climate events, these cannot be contained within political jurisdictions. International cooperation is therefore a must. Because our primary identity and, in fact, our decision-making instincts are fundamentally national, it does not, unfortunately, happen automatically. Cultivating an openness towards the world is therefore essential. In India, we know that traditionally, as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is a family. Much of the current turbulence that we see around us today is when forces in societies challenge that very belief. So let us turn first to the centrifugal side. What are the divisive forces at work? They start with the leveraging of financial strength, of production capabilities, of market shares, and of control over resources. The natural play of commerce is increasingly influenced by calculations of strategy. Now, this spills over into the domain of connectivity as well, whether we think of it as choke points, or whether we are talking about specific projects. And these traits are further accentuated by the growing sharpness of technology rivalry. This has long existed in the military and dual-use categories, but now has steadily spread across the board. The greater intensity of competition is now shaping the behavior of many states. Politics is also at work against globalization. When international regimes are perceived to be gamed, their acceptance starts to shrink. Some entrenched powers also find it hard to come to terms with the loss of competitiveness. International economy then becomes a zero-sum game. We have seen this unfold over the last decade with a promise of much more to come. Challenges confronting the world may be manifestly global, but the responses are definitely much more national. The COVID pandemic itself was a prime example. When it comes to countering terrorism, it has given rise to double standards. As for climate change, there are empty promises, with some even in denial. But most of all, it is the natural evolution of the international economy that is being blocked by non-market forces. The right to industrialize, indeed the capacity and the opportunity to do so, this is being denied to many developing states by the manipulation of competitiveness and by restrictions of market access. This is but another facet of exercising dominance and retaining control. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me sum up the state of the world. Political changes after 1945 and the economic changes due to globalization have led to a real rebalancing. It initially had economic expressions, but with the passage of time, political and cultural ones as well. In due course, counter forces have come into play, leading to new realities and fresh debates. But the predicament of the world is not just structural, it is also behavioral. The world is today witnessing greater weaponization of everything. We are seeing higher risk-taking and a politics that is suited to, in a way, driven by the social media era. The inclination to assert differentials is greater. Capabilities, too, are deployed with less hesitation. Technology advancement is itself encouraging such traits. As the interests of a few are openly prioritized, its costs to the many are less considered. This can only be countered, and it must be countered, by cooperation on more issues with greater players. At the end of the day, it is only then we will see whether multipolarity really delivers. So how does the world reinvent cooperation in this fragmented scenario? To my mind, by essentially 5 steps. 1, by de-risking the international economy and diversifying production and supply chains. Resilience and redundancy are key. This will limit hostage-taking in the economic domain. 2, forging new understandings and closer cooperation, closer relationships among influential nations. This will help stabilize the global order and address issues and problems through agenda-specific cooperation. 3, enhance awareness of the costs of narrow thinking and of confrontation. International law and regimes, and a good example of that is UNCLOS, must be collectively protected and promoted. 4, encourage the power of aspirations. The global South should be enabled with greater capacity and greater opportunities. This would also create new factors of global growth. And 5, provide global goods through common and shared endeavors. We cannot rely on a few to uphold rules and norms. The world must take more control over its own future. This, amongst others, must be expressed through reformed multilateralism. And these 5 factors, ladies and gentlemen, make a powerful case why India and the Republic of Korea must cooperate more closely. We have complementarities. We have many complementarities in many fields, from ships to chips, and also health, infrastructure, or defense, which are just waiting to be exploited. The value of our economic and technology partnership, that of political and strategic cooperation, and particularly of closer people-to-people ties. These were the subjects of my meetings yesterday, my bilateral meetings yesterday in Seoul. And I thank the organizers of Jeju Forum for this opportunity to present that as an argument in the global context as well. Thank you very much for your attention.